Hi guys, and welcome back here to the Dev Realm, and today we carry on our inventory series. And if you guys remember, for the last two episodes we are implementing the drag and drop window. As you can see here, you can move this around. So basically what I would like to do here today is that I have this that I will leave available, which is called the RPG UI. And if you guys are not familiar with this, I already showed in a previous tutorial. So if you're using the starter kit, you probably will notice that we have here a master RPG character. And then within this, you have the character creator, and then you have the main menu. So if you press play here, just to show you what I mean, that we already have a UI that we use to create all this style. So this is in the previous tutorial. And you already have this for free on this, it's included. So what we're going to be doing here today, let me just go back to the maps that I would like to test, is that using Inkscape, I'm going to be exporting this inventory here. So we're going to be focusing first on create the title, and then after we're going to be focusing on create everything else. All right, so without wasting too much time here, what we're going to be doing here is that we're just going to work out how to create separate UIs. As you can see, all the windows I would like to make a default, but I would like to make it the title and everything kind of looks like this. All right, so I'm going to provide all those assets, and what I'm going to do here is that I'm just going to create here a new folder called tutorial, and I am just going to create here a folder called inventory. So this is going to be everything related to the inventory, because you may not have access to all this stuff. But basically what we're going to do here is that we're going to create a new window, right, on Inkscape. And you don't need to do this part. I'm just going to do it here so we can copy all this, and then I'll copy that from here. And then I'm go back right up, and then I'm gonna paste it right here. So what's gonna happen is that this is gonna be available, so you guys can use this to implement this on your own games. One thing I noticed you didn't copy is just the background of that, so I'm just gonna also copy and paste this, and then I'm gonna right click, and I think is here. Yes, this one here. There's an option in Inkscape that allows me to send stuff to the backend. Anyway, I'm just gonna leave this separate for now, and I'm gonna save this on that download picture, right? So I'm gonna go back to here. I'm gonna go back to downloads and master UI and tutorial folder. So here you're gonna have a file called inventory, right? That's the one we are going to be using here. I'm going to close this other one because I don't need it. I'm going to only work with this. So the first thing I would like to do here is that I would like to export this graphic, because it looks like it will be used in multiple times. So let's just see how we can do this. So in Inkscape, you don't need to do this. I'm going to leave it everything. But if you want to follow this part, so I'm just going to hold Control Shift and E. And then I'm going to show export part. I'm going to make sure my DPI is quite high. I want to make sure it's like 300 because this is the resolution of this. I want to make sure that all the assets are crisp, right? So I have massive resolution as possible. Keep in mind, the more DPI, more heavy it is. But since we're trying to craft a nice UI, it would be okay for now. So this is going to be called the background, and it's going to be a PNG file. And after you export this file, right? So if I go back here to the inventory, I have the background file, as you can see. Very nice, very sharp. What I'm going to do is that I am going to go back to my window here. And here I have base inventory, I have the base window, I have the, all sorts of things that we can think of. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the master inventory. And here we have texture. I'm going to create here a widget. And then inside the widget, I'm going to create here what I'm going to call the window, right? Or window base or something. And I'm going to open up that. And then I am just going to drag and drop this right here. And for organization purposes, I'm just gonna do t dash background window. All right. And that's pretty much everything that we need to do for this stuff. Now, the next thing that we would like to do, just mistake. Just let's rename this to have this. It's going to be window base. All right. So what we need to do next is that we have to export this title here, right? So we would like to make this exportable as well. But there is a catch. This thing is grouped, right? So if I ungrouped, there's a couple of textures and things going on here. So what we're going to do here is that we're going to export one by one, including the button, so we can actually use this in the future to, remove the graphics and do like this and do whatever we're trying to achieve. So the next thing we need to do here is that for now, I'm gonna go back to the base inventory, which is here, the WBP inventory. And then for now, I'm just gonna change this. I'm gonna add the nice canvas, which should be T dash, what is it? Base window. There we go. Compile and save. So if I press play now, I should see a nice UI, as you can see. Right, so without wasting too much time with that, now that I have kind of the widget ready, I have like display item types. Oh, this one I do not need it anymore. So you probably don't have this, but I don't need these references anymore because I already have the base drag and drop and all that stuff. So I'm gonna create here a new folder, and I'm gonna call Windows with S, and then I'm gonna move the inventory and everything here because I want to make sure that I keep everything in the same place. And then I'm going to create a new folder called inventory, and this is going to be the inventory window. All right. Okay. Now I'm going to create here a new folder within the widget called title. Okay. And then within the title, what I am going to do here is that I am going to create a new widget interface. And this is going to be not a preview, sorry. I always end up creating a preview. So the one you want to use is the widget blueprint. And we are going to call this WBP title window. All right. Now I'm just going to delete that, the one that we don't need. And now I'm going to open up the title. All right. Okay, cool. So now the title, we are going to try to replicate all this stuff here. So I'm going to just copy and paste this. And then I'm going to basically ungroup everything. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this part, take that part, and then try to export all those things. I think this one as well is grouped, as you can see. So what I would like to do here, it's, well, for now, I'm going to have two versions, one with this and one without. It will be easy for us to handle. But anyway, so I'm just going to select this item here, and I'm going to export, and I'm going to go back to here, right? So I have the right DPI, that's fine. And now on the background, I am going to call this title background, right? And what I can actually do here is I'm just going to rename here to, with ornaments, right? And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to ungroup, right? Move this here, and then do the same, right? And title background, and then I'm just going to probably call normal, right, or something. Now, the next thing is that we need to export this illusion here, this title, let's say title background. That's it, just call title background, that's fine. And we have here title background, and I'm just going to call this title background light. And the next thing we need to do here is just export this little thing here. So I'm gonna export this, and I'm gonna call this title ornament. Ornament. And this is gonna be just without the S. Bottom or something like that. Bottom, because it is on the bottom anyway. And then I'm gonna save this file, and for now I don't need it, so now I can just go back to the engine. And what I'm gonna do here is that I'm gonna rename everything with T dash, right? So the Unreal will be just automatic translated T dash, and then T dash, and all that stuff. We're gonna copy this stuff, and then we're gonna go back. Oh, I just need to, what is it? Inventory here. On the widget here, where we have the texture, I'm just gonna create a new folder for title, because it makes it easier for us to work with that way. So I'm gonna copy this stuff, and then there we go. We have basically all the data that we need here for now. Now that we have the texture, I'm just gonna go here to whatever is the inventory. And in here, I think I have something called title, yeah, which is the one we created. So let's work out on the UI here. So we want to make sure it looks like something like this, right? We want to make sure that we have two options. We can enable and disable that. So to do this, the way I see it is first we have a background, and then within a background, we will have a title that it's attached, a vertical line, which will be title, and then the button, which we don't have yet, but that's fine. And then we have the ornament on the bottom, and then we can choose if we want to enable or disable what kind of background that we want. Something very simple. And if you're new to UI, this may be very complicated to you, but I'm going to explain you step by step. So just make sure that you have all those 4 files, right? And you drag and drop them to Unreal, like I did. Now I'm going to open up a blank item here. And the first thing I would like to do here, guys, is to make sure we scope out this project. Don't worry about the final result yet. Just make sure that you do step by step, all right? Because the key here is step by step. So first we need a border. So the border is the background. So everything, almost every widget needs a border. Now we need to figure out more or less how big is this image, right? Let me just have a look here. I'm just going to do a property. You don't need to follow this. I would like just to see secure details. So on the original size, how much is on Inkscape? So if I export, it does tell me that's something quite ridiculous. But anyway, for now, I am just going to guess. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to guess here. So what I'm going to do here is that desired on screen. Desired on screen, no, desired. And what I'm going to do here is custom size on screen, yeah. I'm going to put, let's say, 500 by 200 or something. Or maybe 100. And then from there, we can customize. It's just so we have the initial rough drawing here. Now, first thing we need, click on the object, of course. And now we're going to go back to the master inventory. And we go to texture, widget. And then we're going to go back to the base. Title. By the way, if you don't wanna keep clicking on this, what you can do here is that I think you have an option here to set add to favorites. So then you can go back to favorites and click on it, and then you end up here. Anyway, now the first thing we need to do here is to add the one with the nice background that we're looking for. And I can see this is too big, so maybe let's try 400 or maybe 500, but 80 or 70, 50, you know, maybe let's try 400 by 80, by 50. Let's leave it 50 for now. And then after we can change the side of this. I also have 2 versions. I have one which is a bigger one, but for now we're just going to focus on that. And this is going to be the title border. All right. Sorry, title border. Now, the next thing that I would like to do here is that I want to make sure it's a variable. And now we need to figure out a couple of things. We need to figure out to add this text and the button and also an ornament at the end. So for this, I'm going to use something called a vertical box, right? And then the button one is quite easy. The button ornament is just the image that we are gonna add here. And that image, we can actually pick this title ornament button. Pick it right there. And we can maybe fill. As you can see, the size is not quite what we're looking for. But what we're gonna do here is that we're gonna leave it, just gonna put it like here for now. And then what I'm gonna do is that after we can try to adjust more or less how this is gonna be. There is another way to do this, but I'm gonna try to do this way first, and then we see if it works properly. And this is gonna be the bottom, ornament, right? Now, what we need here is a vertical box, a horizontal box, and we are gonna be able to add a couple of things on this. So the first one that we would like is a text, right? Which is gonna be that. And then we are gonna have a button, right? So we're gonna add here a little button, which is going to be added right here. So the first thing we need here is to align these on the middle. Make sure they're aligned on the middle, which is fine. And now, let me see, auto or fill. I may need to leave it as fill for now. We may need to add some space here, but that's fine for now. We want to make sure that this button we align to the left, and then the whole thing should be a fill or maybe stretch. Yeah, everything should be stretched. This one, we want to make sure it's on the center. So if I do that, right, this, yeah. So center horizontally, make sure it's vertically aligned, and then we have the button here, and now we can compile and save, and everything should be pretty much fine. Now, you probably noticed that we have a button, and the button we're going to export in a section is going to be the close btn, right? And then we have the ornament. So the ornament, what I would like to do here is probably for the vertical box, I'm just going to remove those padding. So I want to make sure everything fills up. And then for the bottom ornament, maybe what I can try to do is to add some padding from top, something like 10. But it kind of is pushing out the size of it. It's like it's not allowing me to go outside, right? Maybe we have to wrap with overlay, I guess. And then I guess the overlay would allow me to push that to the bottom. So if I put 10, it does here, but if I do top 10, no, it does not. But I think within inside, if I do 10 or something, still doesn't allow me to push the stuff to the bottom, which is a little bit annoying. So what we can try to do here is like this. So I'm gonna wrap everything with a border for now. And then I am just gonna add, because I don't wanna do this using a canvas, I just wanna do this using normal, just a normal, thing. Now what I can do here is that for the first one, I'm just gonna clear the assets. And then within this border, I'm gonna wrap with a vertical box, right? Which is fine. So I have a vertical box within the border. And then within the border, I have an overlay, which I'm going to put it right here. And then I'm going to move this one right there, which is fine. Cool. Now the overlay here, we can probably remove it. And we can maybe leave it like without. So this is going to be part of the first box, right? Now let's see what happens. So if I put fill, I'm not sure why it has this effect here, right? Because I would like to make so let's change the color of it. Color and opacity, maybe if I put the opacity to 0, now that's the wrong one. So that it's So that border, what's the border like? Oh yeah, sorry, of course, is the parent border. What we have to do on the parent border is just that we need to bring this opacity to 0. And then we are able to have this effect. Let me just have a look if it looks a bit weird. I mean, I think it looks fine. It doesn't look too bad, right? Maybe we can even try... No, I think that's fine, you know. It's because the image is a little bit cut out, but it's fine. It's nothing that will prevent us to... You know, it looks quite good, actually. Now, before we finish here, so let's try to replicate the text. Basically, on the master inventory, what we're going to do here is inside the widgets, I'm going to create a new folder called fonts, all right? Normally, I don't put a font here, but in this case, I'll leave it there. And I think I'm just going to look here for what is the name of this font. It's called... It's just Constantina. It's called Constantina. All right. So on my tutorial here, on that folder, I'm just going to open up a new page here. By the way, guys, if you feel like this is, you know, information that could be cut off, just let me know. I don't usually like to cut those kind of things because I think it's quite useful for people to see how's the process. Because when you're doing stuff on your own, you eventually want to do this, right? Anyway, I'm going to leave the font here as well. And I'm going to drag and drop those fonts right here. And I'm going to yes to all and yes. I'm going to apply to all of them. So now what happened is that I would like to click on the regular font, go back to just search for the font family, sorry. Or maybe I can do that. There we go. So it needs to be the font, not the font face. And now if I go back to the title window, it looks a little bit better. Now on the image, we do use like a little bit of a gray color. So maybe what we can do here is to try to replicate that. So you're kind of using a little bit of a gray color, right? There's one more thing here that I actually forgot to do. I mean, you could leave this to the next video, but I guess we do it right here anyway. So what I'm going to do here is that I am going to wrap the whole horizontal box with a border. And I know this seems a little bit too much complication and things that doesn't need to, but that is because if you go back here to, let me just remember, where is the border? Here. Remember that we have this blue thing here, the background light? I actually need to apply this. And this, look how nice it's going to be. You see? It applies a little bit of a blue effect on the widget. Of course, it doesn't look great now because the button still has to be done. But look how nice everything looks already within our widget. And this is a reusable component. We do it once and we're going to be reusing this over and over and over again. Now, the last piece to do here, guys, is the button, right? So the button here, I'm just going to, of course, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to copy and paste this guy here. Well, what I'm going to do here normally, I'm going to ungroup this. I'm going to export this first. The reason why I'm doing this, it's because I have more flexibility with this. And I'm going to call this SM button background. All right. And now here, I'm going to also export this. And I am going to call this guy here exit icon. All right. And now, for now, I'm just going to go back to that folder that I already have here. So I'm going to close that one. I'm going to leave all this stuff available so you guys can actually use this. I'm just going to delete that because I don't need it. Now, let's go back to our Unreal. And remember, let's try to organize our project. So we're going to create here a new folder called button. And now inside the button, we're going to drag and drop that. And then I'm going to create a new folder here called icon, because I'm going to probably using icons. And then I'm going to call this UI icon. And then inside the UI icon, everything related to this kind of UI, I'm going to put it here. I'm going to try to make all this UI match, but feel free to, you know, add your own UI. You don't need to follow this UI, by the way. It's just that I would like it to give us a complete tutorial. But anyway. Okay, nice. Now we have all this stuff done. let's style the button. So the button is very easy. Also, you need an image inside the button. So we're gonna add an image here, right? And the first thing we're gonna do is just we add the icon. So let's just get rid of this icon. Let's just put the icon here, and everything's fine. And draw as an image, and everything should be fine. I'm not sure why everything is like huge, but what you can actually do here, I would like to fill auto. Not sure why it's so big, but anyway, when things are like this that I can control, I like to add a size box. And basically what I'm going to do here is just tell to change the size, right? And I'm going to say, look, I want you to be 42 by 42. So it's a little bit more controlled, all right? Maybe the button doesn't look as good, but we can make it stretch inside, right? Or something like that. We can remove the padding. It still doesn't look great. I'm not entirely sure why. Probably what we could do here is instead of adding the size box here, so let me just replace with child, is that I add the size box within the button here, right? Now here I can actually maybe add the size to something like 64 by 64 or something. I don't know. It looks too big. Maybe 42 by 42, something like standard. Now let's compile and save. Now everything's kind of looking okay. Still a little bit bigger, but let's try now to bring the button itself. So here what we're gonna do is that for the normal, we just need to go back to the button, click on this, and then we're gonna just assign everything here, right? And make sure the image here you draw as an image, otherwise you won't have the right colors. You will get all weird out. So we can control the image size. We're gonna do that in a sec. Let's just make sure that everything's an image. When it's pressed as well, make sure everything is an image, and when it's disabled, make sure that everything here is also an image. All right, now we can compile and save. Now you can see that it's not looking great because the size of the left and right is a little bit bigger. Maybe what we can try to do here is that, let's see, that work? Maybe that wouldn't work. So what I'm probably can try to do here, what I could probably try to do here is that I'm gonna wrap the button within a size box, and then in this size box, the width, you can probably leave something like, yeah, something like 60. A little bit more doable. Maybe we can even make it a little bit smaller, so you can maybe change the height to something like 10, or maybe if I need to put a fill, I guess I don't need to fill it up. Let's see how does it look, because in here it looks a little bit more, it looks very, very small, right? So maybe if I'm just gonna try to replace with the child. So right now everything looks good. And then I can try to squeeze it up a little bit. The problem is that if I make it too small, it loses the quality. So let me just go back here. So this is a button. So we're going to wrap with scale box, actually. Scale box. And there we go. And now what we can try to do here is that we try to control the size of this button. You know what? Let me just do, okay, so instead of using I'm gonna use a size box within a scale box, because I'm having a little bit of an issue with this button, right? I'm not entirely sure why this is happening, but we can probably leave something like, I don't know, maybe, there we go. So we can maybe leave like 32 or 20 or 22, 23 or something like that, all right? Do I need the height? Yes, I do need the height, otherwise it grows. So I have here a size box within a scale box, which will preserve the button size. Then I have the close button itself, which is fine. And then I have the scale box, which will also prevent the image. Now, yeah, I don't think you need this one. Let me see what happened. Yeah, you don't necessarily need that one because the scale box will keep everything within the same size. And now look at that, guys. We have the button. So sorry, we have the title. And the cool thing about it is that this is gonna be reusable. I know I spent like 20, almost half an hour on this, but I really would like to you guys to, this is how you properly create a UI, and this is how things get very complicated to do it. But this, you crafting something good. So once again, thank you very much for watching, and I see you guys in the next one.